السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي. Today we are going to learn about Tafsiriya in this short series. What is Tafsiriya? Tafsiriya is used for at-tabyin wa tafsir, which means to clarify, to elaborate something. We are going to use this example, this ayah from Surah Al-Baqarah, where Allah says, وَأَخِذْنَا إِلَىٰ إِبْرَاهِيمَ وَإِسْمَاعِيلَ أَن طَهِّرَا بَيْتِيَ لِلطَّائِفِينَ وَالْعَاكِفِينَ وَالرُّكَّعِ السُّجُودِ. So here Allah says, we took promise or we took covenant from Ibrahim and Ismail. If the sentence ended at Ismail, do me and you know what was the promise about? When an with the sentence following it came in the ayah, now we know that this promise was that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wanted Ibrahim and Ismail to purify his house for those who do tawaf and those who do itikaf and bow down and those who prostrate. So with an and sentence following an, you get more clarification, more clarity is seen in your verse, and you get more information. That is why this an is called tafsiriya or mufassira. Without Antohira Baitiya, you don't know what this promise was about. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala clarified it. For some, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala took covenant from Musa alayhi salam for 40 nights. But here, Allah is taking a covenant from Ibrahim and Ismail to purify his house for those who do tawaf and itikaf and do ruku and sujood. Another important point that you must know about Antafsiriya is that it is called an of quotes. It can be called an of quotes. And what is a quote? A quote is an exact copy of someone else's words, usually enclosed in quotation marks. We don't find quotation marks in Quran, but we know there are certain af'al that are known to come with quotes. And those quotes are called makulul qawl, right? After qala yakulu conjugation, we see statements that are exact words of someone else's. And they are just like, we call them makulul qawl fi mahalli nasbin if they are seen after ma'loom form of qala yakulu, and if they are seen after hila, we call them naibul fa'il, and they are exact copy of the speaker's words. In this case, after Antafsiriya, why I'm painting a picture about this quote is that when you see two types of sentences, as I have put them in an example, like Fatima said, I love reciting the Quran, and this is going to be the quote, and it is a direct speech. And if I give you a statement like Fatima said that she loved reciting the Quran, here I change the words of Fatima, so it cannot be a quote. After Antafsiriya, what do you expect to see? You expect to see a quote that is an exact copy of someone else's words. Exact copy of someone else's words. Here, Tahira, Baitiya, Allah said to Ibrahim and Ismail, you too purify my house for those who do tawaf and do itikaf and do ruku and sujud. So what do we expect to see after Antafsiriya or Anmufassira? It is quote, and quote means exact words that speaker has spoken. Important information about this an is that makes it very unique is it has no grammatical function. It is muhmila. We do not expect to see any change in Arab of what follows it. If you see anything after any an, after which the Arab of fail has changed, like in this case, an yadriba, this cannot be an tafsiriya, cannot be an tafsiriya. In case of an mukhaffafa, it makes ism mansub. In case of an nasiba masdariya lil mudari, it makes mudari mansub. An tafsiriya has no such grammatical function. It is muhmila. Also importantly, it is not affected by any amil. It cannot be affected by any fail, and it cannot be mafulun bihi for that fail. It cannot be file for a fail. It cannot, whatever comes with un, whatever un and whatever follows un cannot be considered as file, maf'ul, or muta'alliq with. No, no such thing. It neither affects nor is affected. Neither affects nor is affected. No function, nothing can act on it, and it cannot act on anything what follows it. Okay, so it is very important to know. So if you see any change after an, that an cannot be tafsir. Importantly, there is also in this part of the verse of Surah Al-Baqarah, La yastafi, fi, fi is mahzoof here, which makes Masdar al-Mu'awwal that is formed by an and fail following it, jar. This this an is for sure an masdariya, nasiban, and mudari. So this cannot be an tafsiriya, that is being affected by fi, mahzoof, which is fi, that is mahzoof, and also is affecting mudari after it. When we were learning about al-mukhaffafa, we learned that it makes an ism, which is the miru shan, mansoob, that is its ism, and then there's a khabar of it, and together with its ism and khabar, it makes masdar al-mu'awwal. And it's seen after mostly, not always, seen after afalul qulub. And you notice it acts like, the whole masdar al-mu'awwal is treated as sadama sadama fulay hasiba. In here, allam yarahu ahad, masdar al-mu'awwal is sadama sadama fulay hasiba. Again here, sadama sadama fulay hasiba. Same as the case here, 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 here. Here we don't have hasiba, and this is matuf. This masdar is matuf. So anytime you see al-mukhaffafa, it has a grammatical function. It affects an ism, after it makes it mansoob, and it's also itself affected by an amil before it, which is not the case with an-tafsiriya. An-tafsiriya follows a sentence. Notice here, inna laka alla tajua. Inna laka, is it a complete sentence? No, not at all. So, Allah, that has an plus la, cannot be an-tafsiriya, because before an-tafsiriya, we expect to see a sentence. Here, in our verse from Surah Al-Baqarah, وَأَحِدْنَا إِلَىٰ إِبْرَاهِيمَ وَإِسْمَاعِيلَ. So here, we do have a complete sentence before an-tafsiriya or an-mufassira. We took covenant from Ibrahim and Ismail. So this is an-tafsiriya. An-tafsiriya is going to follow a sentence. And it's also followed by a sentence as well. Harf jar never enters upon it, neither lafzan nor taqdeeran. What does it mean? You will never see an, and you don't expect to see be before an. If you see any harf jar before an, that cannot be an-tafsiriya. If there is a mahzoof harf jar before an, that is again it cannot be an-tafsiriya. So here in both these examples, an is masdariya, nasibatul lil-mudari, and you notice that after an there are changes as well. So remember, when it comes to an-tafsiriya, harf jar never enters upon it. You don't expect to see any harf jar before it, neither lafzan, which means that it is going to be seen written as well, nor taqdeeran, which means you cannot even assume that there is a harf jar before it. It's not possible with an-tafsiriya. The word saying can be added in parentheses to capture its meaning. As I said, what follows an-tafsiriya is a quote. Are the words, quote is the exact word of a speaker, somebody else's words, and you just use them just exactly the same way that they are. So you see a quote without word qala, as I mentioned before. There is no qala yaqulu, but you do see a quote, which in this case was tahira baytiya lit-ta'ifina wal-akifina wa ruk'is sujud. Sentence that follows an-tafsiriya can be jumla ismiya or fi'liya. Sentence that follows an-tafsiriya is going to be Jumlatu Tafsiriya. As the name indicates, an and the Jumla after should be Jumlatu Tafsiriya. It has no i'rab. Just like Salatul Mawsool has no i'rab, Jumlatu Tafsiriya also does not have any i'rab, and it is La mahalla laha min al-i'rab. An Tafsiriya is commonly seen after Nada, Auha, and sometimes is also seen after Ahida. So, an Tafsiriya, now we are going to go over the examples. ربنا إننا سمعنا مناديا ينادي للإيمان أن آمنوا بربكم. آمنوا بربكم looks like a quote of this munadiyan yunadi, the caller who is calling to Iman. So this can be, this an is, clarifying, elaborating what was the call of the caller. Can be an tafsiriya or an mufassira. Following it is a sentence which is showing the exact words of this munadi. Aminu bi rabbikum. This an is an mufassira, an tafsiriya, la mahalla laha min al-i'rab, and the sentence jumlatu tafsiriya is also la mahalla laha min al-i'rab. And again, as I mentioned before, it is commonly seen after nada yunadi. وَإِذْ أَوْحَيْتُ إِلَى الْحَوَارِيِّينَ أَنْ آمِنُوا بِي وَبِرَسُولِي. So here again, we are seeing, and when I revealed to Al-Hawariyin, you don't know what was the revelation about until An came and mentioned the full quote of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah said, you all believe in me. Aminu bi wa bi rasuli, and in my messenger. So this an clarified. This an is followed by a quote. It is going to be labeled as an tafsiriya, and the jumla that is following it is jumla to tafsiriya la mahalla laha min al-i'rab. In both these cases, in both these examples, we saw jumlatul fi'liya. Another example, فأوحينا إليه أن اصنع الفلك بأعيننا. Then we revealed to him. What was the revelation about if the sentence ended at ilayhi? There was something revealed to Nuh alayhi salam, but what was that? After an, there is a clarification of that. There is elaboration, and there is a quote, which is the direct speech of Allah, what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said to Nuh alayhi salam, that you construct the ship right under my eyes. So this anisna'il fulka bi ayunina jumlatu tafsiriya, that is following an mufassira is la mahalla laha min al-i'rab, jumlatul fi'liya la mahalla laha min al-i'rab, because it is jumlatu tafsiriya, and an again is an tafsiriya, and you are seeing a quote, a direct speech after an tafsiriya or an mufassira. Another example here from Surah An-Nahl, وَأَوْحَى رَبُّكَ إِلَى النَّحْلِ, and your Rabb did wahi, inspired to honeybee. And ittakhidhi, these are the direct words of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah is saying to the honeybee that you honeybee, make min al-jibali buyuta, you make houses in the mountains. Again, another example, وَانْطَلَقَ الْمَلَأُ مِنْهُمْ أَنِ امْشُوا وَاصْبِرُوا عَلَىٰ آلِهَتِكُمْ. Here, and again is followed by a quote of Mala'u, is going to be tafsiriya, mufassira. How did they march out? They marched out saying, you all walk and be patient upon your deities. وَنُودُوا أَن تِلْكُمُ الْجَنَّةِ, and they were called, saying, this is Jannah. So this is now an example of Jumlatul Ismiya following an tafsiriya or mufassira. This is following nada yunadi, but in the passive form. This an is going to be again considered as an tafsiriya. Following it is a quote. What was being told to them? What were they called with? Tilkumul Jannah. This, O you all, is Jannah. Another example, Nada Ashabul Jannati Ashaban Nari. And the people of Jannah call people of fire. If sentence ended here, you don't know what was the call about. But with Antafsiriya comes that quote of Ashabul Jannah, which was قَدْ وَجَدْنَا مَا وَعَدَنَا مَا وَعَدَنَا وَعَدَنَا رَبُّنَا حَقًّا. Indeed, we found what our Rabb promised us to be true. So this and again is going to be an tafsiriya or an mufassira. And following it is the direct quote. It's a quote from Ashabul Jannah. In the same words, we have another example. فَأَذَّنَ مُؤَذِّنٌ بَيْنَهُمْ اللَّعْنَةُ اللَّهِ عَلَى الظَّالِمِينَ. The caller, the muazzin, made an announcement between them, saying, curse of Allah upon those who did wrong. So here we are seeing Jumlatul Ismiya as Jumlatul Tafsiriya, which is falling Mufassara. It's a quote of that Muazzin. It's a quote of that Muazzin, and it's going to be, since it is Jumlatul Tafsiriya, it is going to be La Mahalla Laha Min al-I'rab. Another example, Nadaw Ashab al-Jannati An Salamun Alaykum. And they called people of Jannah. So they called people of Jannah, saying, Salamun alaykum, peace be upon you all. This Jumlatul Ismiya is Jumlatul Tafsiriya that is following An Tafsiriya. It's a direct quote from the people that were upon Araf, and they were calling people of Jannah that peace be upon you all. And Jumlatul Tafsiriya is always going to be La Mahalla Laha Min al-I'rab. So these are few important points about Tafsiriya, and I hope you find this session beneficial. And do not forget that you expect to see a quote. Don't forget the af'al after which you expect to see Tafsiriya. Don't forget that it is going to be preceded by a sentence. Don't forget it has no grammatical function. Don't think about Tafsiriya if is if you see after be or fi or anything or any harcha, don't it cannot be affected by harcha. And if you see anything in which has a different i'rab, just like yadriba, that can never be tafsiriya. It does not have any grammatical function, as I mentioned many times through this session. I hope you find this session beneficial. If you do, keep in dua. Subhanak Allahumma wa bihamdik. Nashhadu an la ilaha illa anta. Nastaghfiruka wa natubu ilayk. I just want to leave you with the advice that grammar is all about practice. The more you practice, the more you get good at it. More things make sense to you, and better is your understanding. May Allah give you a lot of barakah in your knowledge, in your amal, in your life, in your health. Take care.